Welcome everybody to another episode of the OffBall podcast. I'm your host, Akeem Mitchell, with the man in charge, Trayvon Barnes. And today we got a special. It's actually a Hampton product. Like I had to bring him back out. My coach Jamal. He's really helped me my senior year. I know he helped Trey his senior year, and we had to bring him on. So, welcome, Coach. How you doing?
I appreciate the two of you. Thank you guys very much. I'm good. You know, all this madness that's going on now. Thankfully, me and the family were good, and I know everybody yours is. So we're all blessed.
I know you're a New York kid. So I just want to talk about your upbringing, how you really think New York basketball is better than Southern basketball, which I still don't understand. But
yeah, no, I mean it was. They don't call us the Mecca for nothing, but times have changed. I can't say the same thing now. And it's a big part of it is because there's so many AU programs. When I was coming up and before me, it was more of a concentrated. You were either with Riverside Church or you were with the Gauchos. And now it's you got AU programs on every block.
Yeah.
It's just diluted, very watered down.
You growing up in New York, it was still like Rucker Park.
I mean, of course, that was what everybody knows it to be, but it wasn't nearly what it is now. Like, it was more of a hood type thing, but it was just very respected. Mm-hmm. But that really wasn't, the West 4th Street, citywide, Mark Jackson tournament, stuff like that is more what, we engaged in rather than Rucker. Rucker came later on when I got older.
You ended up moving down and you went to UVA, my brother's alma mater. No, there's a story.
What's the story?
Yeah.
Where we going, Gene?
Mom told you, don't go to UVA.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest mistakes. And again, in this, my line of work now, I asked the guys, the young men that were recruiting, to pay attention to their families. And what I mean by that is, especially your mother and the intuitional thing, the women intuition, it's real. And my mother had a really bad feeling about my choice. She had this feeling like it wasn't for me and I shouldn't go. She loved Arizona, and I did too. But I ended up making that choice, and things just didn't work out. But the school itself was amazing. Like, everything about UVA was beautiful and everything. Just basketball. After my freshman year, just went south.
We used to talk, our senior year about the struggles of not getting what you wanted on the court, from the coach's perspective, not getting the ball or the minutes or whatever that you wanted. Can you talk about what you went through at that time?
It started actually the beginning of my second year. There was no pressure placed upon me, but there were very high expectations. And there were just things that came into play that I had no control over, but I wasn't mature enough to deal with that. Or I won't say mature enough, I just didn't understand or know how to deal with that. I wasn't one of those kids that was, F everything, F the coach. I had a great upbringing, so I was very disciplined. And I took the adversity on, and I just felt things would get better. And I didn't try to avoid it. I didn't try to transfer. I just felt things would get better. And things didn't. I had to see a psychiatrist, and it wasn't just some sports psychiatrist. It was a psychiatrist, and the reason was something that I love so much and have been so good at and done so well with for so long, as far as my early career, was going south, was going bad, and again, that was my world, and I didn't know how to deal. There were things that were going on that I had no control over. I fell into a deep depression, and I'm talking, put the comforter or whatever over the window, jet black, and just sitting there, and it was horrible. And I was just going through it, and it's hard when other guys are having success. Of course, we're dealing with a selfish world, and I shouldn't even say that, because those guys didn't know how to deal with that, how to help me. They would just say, "Well, just play your game." Once you lose your confidence, which each of you have experienced, it's hard. Confidence is everything in every walk of life. I came in as their top recruit, And things started to turn around midway through the season once I started to understand. And, of course, we all thought it was going to be historic. It just didn't happen. It didn't work out that way. But, you don't stop. You keep moving. Inside, I knew I'd get to the NBA. I never doubted myself one bit. And that's one thing I tell these kids. You gotta believe in yourself first. I told each of you that. You gotta believe in yourselves first.
You just spoke shortly on how AAU seems to be very watered down because of so many teams out right now. That also, I believe, leads into a lot of the people have a lot of hype coming into some of these bigger schools, and that's why the transfer rate is so high right now. So there's probably a lot of people that maybe not were in your position, but can relate. But I was a man where I was from. I'm with this big name school, and now I've got to transfer to losing confidence and things like that. So, what would be your one piece of advice for those people out there listening?
When I'm recruiting these kids, I ask them to have questions for us. As many questions as you could possibly have. You're talking about, this day and age, you got to speak to them as, you don't know, 1 year, but possibly 4 years. You're spending 4 years of your life with, you don't know these people. You're possibly, potentially going to be spending 4 years of your life with them. You should know as much as you can about them. Make us work. Don't make it easy for us. Make us work. And it's the same thing with us. We got to do our homework on them. If you see a kid who's jumped around for 15 different high schools, and more than likely, the moment he faces adversity or sees it coming, he's going to jump again. So, but I would just, I implore, I ask them to know as much as they can about the schools that they're considering and their coaches personally. That's something I didn't do. I just knew of the schools, and it's, part of it is that the schools that were on my list were all Power Fives. Everybody know. And back then, college basketball was everything. It was really, the NBA, of course, was there, but it was really about college basketball.
So that first year coming out, you didn't get drafted, but you did go to the league, correct?
Well, I didn't. So coming out of school, I had 3 pre-draft workouts. After my first year, I had good games. It's just no consistency. You could see the talent. So, unfortunately, at that time, to have an opportunity, a better or an easier, not say easier, but a better opportunity to play in the league, you went to a Power 5 school. That afforded me the opportunity. So I have these 3 workouts, and I do pretty good. And then I had the choice of going to San Antonio or Portland, and I was steered towards Portland. So anyway, I do pretty well in the workout. They were going to take Kelvin Cato with the first pick, 7-foot out of Iowa State, as their. I think he was a lottery pick, and then they had a second round pick. So there was 10 of us at the workout, and it was pretty much whomever is the best at the workout, they're going to take him with that second round pick, and that happened to be Alvin Williams. I was alerted immediately right after the draft that I would be flying out to Portland to start the process as far as getting ready for summer league and stuff like that. I had to make the team, and I was doing very well. And I was actually getting ready to sign the rookie deal, and I broke my ankle. And then in trying to get back, I broke it again, not being disciplined. But they were really good. They kept me around. They took care of my surgery. And it was a situation where they wanted me to go back to New York to rehab. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. I want to stay here. It was like between the weather and them not being around, they gave me whatever I felt though they were excuses. So I ended up going back to New York and rehabbing. Fast forward, I'm not ever 100% because as Trey knows, like this is mental. It becomes very mental. And I was an athletic guard. So everything I did is off the one leg, and that's the ankle that I broke. And I'm going to Europe, and I come back to Miami to work out for them and then play in a summer league that's attached to them, and I do very well. And then I just bust my butt for 4 months, and I end up in vet camp, and I end up getting on with the Heat.
Yeah, so we can just jump straight into the college coaching there.
Yeah, so I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be a college coach. I said it forever. I didn't even want to get into skill development because I saw, everybody around here hustling with that. There was no real passion and love for it. It was just a way to, get a bunch of kids in the gym, make some money. But then, you go to these games, you see all the things that these kids are lacking, and it swayed me. And I had somebody speak to me, a local dude, and he was just like, basically saying, you need to get in. These kids need you, and I was like, all right, well, and I just did things somewhat differently. You guys already know I can be intense, so it was more than just the physical part of it. It was actually talking to them and the mental side of it. I loved it, and that led me into Nike, doing the Nike stuff for about 9 years, and that was amazing because of all just what you're around, the people. It became like a reunion because it's me reconnecting with so many people that I've played against and with back in the day as far as high school and college and professional. And I did that for 8 years, 9 years, whichever. It was basically all of those skills academies, all those camps, the EYBL stuff. We were just part of it. We would just go to see those kids that we worked with, see them apply it. And I got bonds with those guys. Like then, changed my mind. I figured this would be the next part of my journey, and I said I wouldn't do it, and I didn't want to do it. I ended up coaching. Yeah, you too.
Yeah, coach your boy. Coach your boy.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much came along with it. Like it's more than just the basketball. Making sure you guys are good off the court and what's going on with you, and opening myself up. Number one, letting you guys know or understand that I'm there for you all. I'm not. It's not about me, and opening myself up, making myself vulnerable to where you guys can come tell me or talk to me about anything, stuff like that. It was more. There was so much more to it than I knew, but I enjoy it, and that's my main purpose. Is it's not about the X's and O's. It's about making you better as basketball players, but as men too. You know what I'm saying? I just want to get to the top, and it doesn't necessarily mean the NBA. At least the level that I played upon, and be respected as an amazing assistant coach.
We definitely appreciate you. You're definitely one of those coaches that always kept his phone open. For all the coaches that I've had in my past, you're one of the few that still keeps their phone open to me. And like whenever I text you, call you, ask questions.
This shit is bigger. It's more than about when you guys are there with me, man. Like this is, now we're talking about life, and I'm always whatever you need. You know what I'm saying? Whatever I can do, I will try to do to my best of my ability.
So what do you think as a coach your job is, in growing men? Like what are the things as a coach you have to instill into your players?
With the younger kids, it's just explaining. Well, it's the same thing with the older guys too, but getting them to just understand how important it is to seize the moment, not take days off, work hard, be open, be open to coaching. With the older guys, well, each age or it gets a little bit more serious because different things come into play. For all of them is fear success. Don't fear failure. Failure is, that is what it is. But success, you lose focus and bad things can happen. But as far as how I go in or I approach all this is, basically listening to the guys and opening myself up, and then never bullshitting, like trying to keep it 100 and be extremely honest, and letting them see or know that I care. Like, and then as far as the game, so just through my experiences and some of the people I've been coached by, I just want to, when they're doing something wrong, I would like to be able to understand and explain and help them to get better.
On the basketball side of it, let's say you had to build a program and you could pick 5 guys that got like a certain skill set to like put them together.
For me, honestly, like even with this now, so the Ashley Howard, my new head coach, all he wants is big guards. So of course, I'd love to have a 6'7" who is selfless, like wants to make the right play, but understands when he has to do it when it's his time. And then an extremely good defender, but more importantly, he's very vocal. And I'm not talking about as far as like talking crap to you, but where to be, help side,
Right.
forcing this side, whatever. And of course, you want your shooting guard to be a knockdown shooter. I'd love for him to be around the same size, 6'7", 6'6", but a knockdown shooter, somebody who understands, how to use screens and how to get himself open, being able to play well off the ball. And then the 3-man, I want to go back in the day, like a slasher, not necessarily a jump shooter, but somebody who attacks the basket very well, offensive rebounder as well as defensive rebounder, but an amazing defender who can defend all three of those positions, so the 4, the 5, and the 3 as well. Of course, he's a guard, so he should be able to move his feet. Then the 4-man, I'm okay with like somewhat a stretch, but somebody can go either hand over each shoulder. Who's very vocal because he's on the backside, so he sees everything. And a great on ball as well as help side defender. Then I want my 5-man. I want the old way. I don't want this new 5 out. I don't want the stretch 5. I don't want a big tray. I don't want a big tray. No, I'm joking. But no, I want how it was. We go inside out. So we're gonna throw it in there, and I want somebody who can punish it. Now, of course, you can't be as physical this day and age with somebody who has great footwork and understands positioning. I'm not a big fan of this current way of playing basketball. I like the inside out, which you guys each saw as far as Europe. Ball comes in there, they collapse, it opens things up for everybody else. I like that.
The last point was just about fatherhood, how being a father has changed you. You're this big intense guy and everything, but you got a daughter. So talk about how that has changed you as a person.
Man, it's the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life, young. There's nothing like a daughter's love. It's totally different. And I didn't know love until, Chloe came into this world, man. It changed me amazingly. It definitely changed me. The way that I look at everything, this life, man, like everything is about her now. And this is where I was telling some of you guys, ex-teammates, like, you don't understand how important, how serious this role is. You're not living for yourself anymore. We're now living for them. And everything I do is pretty much trying to set her up and get her, to understand what's going on in the world today. And just trying to prepare her for the future. And then, also in terms of the moves that I make, it's also about lining money up and things of that nature, getting everything in order for her. But it's the greatest thing I ever did in my life. It's amazing.
All right, so I thank y'all for watching another episode of the OffBall podcast. Coach Jamal repping his anti-offense defense shirt. You didn't think I noticed that, did you? Nah, thank you, Coach, for real. Like, nothing but love forever. Appreciate you a whole lot.
Appreciate you guys. Be easy.
All right, Coach.
Thank you, everyone, for watching another episode of the OffBall podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, follow us on the Anchor app, Instagram, and Twitter, and we'll be back next week with more content.